Hi, it's Dwyer, gamblersadvisory.com, a free sports advisory betting site. Bettingangle.us, same thing. Today is June the 10th, 2020. Let's talk boxing. Let's talk money. But first, remember, the opinion you should follow should be your own. Just consider this video to be a second opinion from a complete stranger online. Now let me start by saying, look, I'm very pro-athlete, right? I've appeared before the California State Athletic Commission on behalf of an athlete trying to get out of a promotional contract, right? I've also given advice to some professional athletes who I used to play basketball with years ago, right? I understand that professional sports has a money side, and I understand that a boxing career can be very short, and that it's important for fighters to protect themselves, right? I do believe that given the risk involved, the head injuries, etc., the possibility of CTE, the fact that some of my heroes from the 1970s now have slurred speech, I do believe that, athletes need to plan financially. Now, all of that said, I believe this morning is important because online there's an excellent interview with the Bond King, Jeff Gunlock, Gundlach, where he talks about what he sees as the coming round of layoffs for people earning six figures, $100,000 or more. Now that's in the real world. Understand, it's all the real world. In other words, sports doesn't exist on an island. Sports is actually part of the broader economy. Right, folks? The money's drying up. Understand, as I make this video, the unemployment rate for African Americans in the United States is 16%. Right? 16%. All of these great contracts that outfits like The Zone signed with people like Canelo are going to get heightened scrutiny. The financial viability is going to be questioned. And understand, it's not a matter of the athlete simply saying, hey, that's not my problem, that's The Zone's problem. Because there are things called bankruptcies, where someone who's overextended themselves can get out of even written contractual obligations. The world has changed. A fighter has to adjust his own financial expectations, right? The big money we once knew is no longer there, right? Financial expectations have to be tempered. Now, what I found is that fighters are in bubbles. You have layers of people around them, right? A manager, a financial advisor, mom, dad, Uncle Joe who thinks he knows finance. And they'll say things like, hey, look, Demetrius Andrade signed for X before the coronavirus pandemic. You should get X. Right? People are saying, hey, you're fighting this guy who's a box office king. Right? Whether it's Canelo, whether it's Anthony Joshua, whether it's Manny Pacquiao. Right? You're fighting a box office king. He's getting X. You should get X. Right? Forget the fact that this is a career-making fight for you. An opportunity that you can't duplicate because there are not many Canelos. An opportunity that if you are successful in, if you beat Canelo, then that's going to change your entire position in life. The boxing hardcore might know who you are today, but understand not many fans outside of the boxing hardcore might know your name. This is your opportunity to get it out in the public. Right? The person I'm talking to here is Caleb Plant, one of the champions at 168 pounds. I personally feel that Caleb Plant is one of the best in the sport pound for pound. But many people haven't heard of him. He's known, I'm sure, among boxers. He's known among announcers, people in the boxing community. He's certainly known among the people he's beaten. But he's not known with the general public. He doesn't have big-time name recognition. And understand you need that to get big-time dollars. To build that, you have to go out and beat someone known, like Canelo. Right? The truth of the matter is that in boxing, you're paid for your last fight. Buster Douglas didn't make that much, fighting Mike Tyson, a dominant champ of his era. After he beat Mike Tyson, Buster Douglas made boatloads of money. His next fight, his one title defense, against Evander Holyfield. Right? Don't blow the opportunity. Don't blow the opportunity to fight Canelo by pricing yourself out of the market. Right? Think about Anthony Joshua for a second. He was going to fight Jarrell Miller. Jarrell Miller, of course, took the PED route. Disqualified himself from the fight. So then, of course, here you had a champion with proven box office appeal in the UK. Right? I would say you had the most marketable, at that time, heavyweight champion. And apparently Luis Ortiz was approached to fight him. Now, Ortiz was in demand. Ortiz had already fought Deontay Wilder in a fight that was there on the table for him. Ortiz may have thought that if he fought a rematch against Wilder, he would take Wilder's title. So Luis Ortiz did not answer the call against Anthony Joshua, who was ripe for the picking. Understand, we still don't know how Joshua would do against a slick southpaw like Luis Ortiz. Right? At least I don't know. If you do, and I know there's Joshua Nation out there. As I said, he's popular. Go ahead and tell us in the comment section for this video. So Luis Ortiz didn't take the bait, didn't take the shot at the heavyweight title. So then promoters went with plan B. Andy Ruiz, who won the title, beat Anthony Joshua, knocked him down multiple times. Guess what? Andy made a lot of money for the Anthony Joshua rematch. Right? Andy didn't price himself out of the first fight, so Andy, whatever you think of him, is a wealthy man today. So, let me just say, Caleb Plant, understand that it's not January of 2020. It's June of 2020. Much has happened. Yesterday, we had a fight card on ESPN that featured no fans. By the way, it went off flawlessly. It was spectacular. That might be the future of boxing. But just to understand, past economics aren't where boxing is today because of everything that's happened. Right? Fans are going to be gun shy going to boxing events. When they go to boxing events, there's going to be social distancing. Did anyone catch Shakur Stevenson's post-fight interview right after he left the ring? The announcer stood 6 feet away from him. You do that in a boxing arena, and you're going to end up with, what, 1/6 of the fans? Right? The money has changed in boxing. Fighters need to realize that. So Caleb Plant would be making a mistake, quite frankly, if he looks at the money that Golovkin got from the zone. If he looks at the money Canelo got from the zone, he'd be making a mistake. What he needs to do is think about the career opportunity. Get paid fairly. As I said, I'm pro-athlete. Get paid fairly, but understand, just like I said here online that I thought Billy Joe Saunders, who can also move, had a shot on Canelo, right? And that fight seems to be in limbo, right? Billy Joe, as only Billy Joe can, has done some things outside the ring that have people reconsidering that fight. If the promoters have moved to you, given your superior foot speed to Canelo, given the fact that you're at the top of your game, given Canelo's relative lack of experience at 168 pounds, and given the doors a victory over Canelo would open, right? Isn't Callum Smith still undefeated? Isn't Benavidez still undefeated? Isn't Bivol, one weight class up, still undefeated? Wouldn't a rematch against Canelo be a box office bonanza for everyone? Because by then, the boxing public would catch on to who you are. Right? So forgive me. But I believe a savvy fighter in his prime, an unbeaten champion, who's one of the best, but yet the public doesn't know him, would be making a mistake by pricing himself out of a fight against Canelo that I think he can win. Right? Canelo has shown up to a few fights with a knee brace on one leg. How's he going to keep up with Caleb Plant? People need to realize, too, that Caleb Plant has a hair trigger. Folks, it is a hair trigger. Left hook. On par with Floyd Mayweather's hair trigger left hook and Teofimo Lopez's hair trigger left hook. He has fast hands as it is. He's very creative in the ring. He brings more punching power. That left hook of Caleb Plant's carries more bite than anything that Billy Joe Saunders has. Right? This, to me, is a winnable fight. Understand, when you're in the position that a Caleb Plant is right now, you don't even have to beat Canelo to have there be an outcry for a rematch. Wasn't there an outcry for a rematch of Canelo against Golovkin? Isn't there an outcry right now for Canelo against Golovkin 3? Understand, too, I think Canelo beats Golovkin in a third fight. Caleb Plant has to realize that Canelo's in the rare position that superstars sometimes find themselves in. He has many multi-million-dollar opportunities around him. I believe his contract with the Zone's gonna have to be reworked. But he has many multi-million-dollar opportunities around him. Canelo Callum Smith, big money fight. Canelo Golovkin, big money fight. I think Canelo Billy Joe Saunders, big money fight. If the people around Canelo have made a mistake, and that's what it would be, by contacting Caleb Plant, who can beat him, in my opinion, more thoroughly than the other guys, then Caleb Plant needs to capitalize on that mistake. Get a career payday. I'm not saying to accept minimum wage or anything like that. But understand, once they hit a certain number, you should be prepared to take the fight. That number shouldn't be the number you would have gotten in January of this year. You need to realize that, again, black unemployment is up at 16%. Right? Unemployment in general in the United States is up around 13% right now. That's after supposedly blowout employment numbers. America is officially in a recession. Insiders know it's really a depression. Right? Go to thefelderreport.com. See a hedge fund founder, Jesse Felder. He has a podcast up. Listen to him talk about things like the Buffett indicator and what's really going on in the economy, and the fact that he expects the dollar to lose value. He disagrees with Brent Johnson. I know the dollar milkshake theory. Understand, there's some disagreement. There are many people out there loading up on things like gold and gold miners because they fear what's coming for the economy. Right? I know millennials are flocking to Robinhood.com. I have an account on Robinhood.com. And I know they think, oh, Hertz is on sale. Right, folks, Hertz is in bankruptcy. Recognize the economy. Recognize the scarcity of the opportunity you're being presented. Understand that right now things are different. That some contracts out there between fighters and media outlets are going to have to be reworked. Understand that you get paid for your last fight. If the Canelo people are knocking on your door, offering you a shot at the king, right, the box office king, a guy who got standing room only at Madison Square Garden when he fought Rocky Fielding, hardly a household name in the United States. If they're knocking on your door, player, answer it. Don't price yourself out of the fight. Right? In that negotiation, you need to say things like, hey, what did you guys have in mind? What are you guys hoping I take? You know, be up front. Lock in the fight. If they insist on a rematch clause, hey, what do you have to lose? Because if you move as well as I think you do relative to Canelo, if you study fights like the Danny Jacobs-Canelo fight, and you realize when Canelo goes off at the side and is there waiting for you to come in and throw a lot of shots so he could show a lot of head movement, upper body movement, make you miss, win the round with the judges on defense, if you know you can avoid those mistakes. In other words, Canelo goes over to the side. He's ready to put on an upper body show. You just look at him. You play Jimmy Young. You just look at him. You know, people should have done this against Floyd Mayweather, quite frankly. Right? The guy goes over to the side of the ring, Maidana should have just looked at Mayweather, said, hey, Floyd, are we going to fight or not? Egg him to the middle of the ring. Right? If you study Canelo Films, I believe there's a path there for someone with your hand speed, someone with your foot speed, someone with your creativity. I encourage people to Google, to look up on YouTube, Caleb Plant's highlights. You're going to see that he's in there faking and doing basketball moves in a boxing match. And it works. If you realize in your heart that you're the unbeaten best at 168, and that this guy has had exactly one fight in the weight class against a guy who cannot move remotely as well as you, and if you realize that you're younger and more fluid than Kovalev, who Canelo beat at 175, if you understand that this is not only a financial opportunity, this is a boxing opportunity to put on a show, to make your name, to be like Buster Douglas, to take the title. And I know you're the champ. I believe Canelo still has Rocky Fielding's title. I believe this is a unification match. To take Canelo's title, to be part of the Canelo story, then this is an opportunity you can't pass up. Sometimes when they lowball in a negotiation, fighters have to roll with it because of the gold on the other side of the fight. Right? If I'm Caleb Plant, I realize that America's in recession. Opportunities like this don't come around that much. Understand, you could sign a fight, Callum Smith. Hey, that's an entertaining fight. He's not Canelo. Boxing has very few cash cows. Just like if you're offered a fight against Manny Pacquiao, your response should be, yes, I'll take it. If you're offered a fight against Canelo and you have the foot speed advantage, you have the experience advantage at 168. You're better than advertised. People don't even realize that. Then you've got to close that deal. That's how I see it. Let me hear from you. I know I'm going to hear about other failed boxing negotiations, right? I'm guessing I'm going to hear about Wilder and Anthony Joshua. Okay, fine. But let me hear from you. If you're Caleb Plant today, unbeaten, better feet than Canelo, right? Fast, much better left hook. Look at the Mike Lee fight. Much better left hook than advertised. Right? The kind of fighter who, if Canelo fought him, we've all seen these fights. You go into the fight really knowing the favorite. Then by the start of the third round, you're saying, who the hell is this guy he's fighting? Right? I'm guessing there was a moment during the first Deontay Wilder-Luis Ortiz fight where people were thinking to themselves, man, this dude who Wilder is fighting is slick. Get your name on the big stage, player. Let me hear from you in the comment section of this video. Thanks for stopping by.